You're late. You said you'd get rid of it, and you didn't. It comes every day at the same time. It eats my food, man. It eats my Twinkies. Hey, guys, hey, that already exists. The only images that matter in Hollywood are the green ones. Everything else is just side effects.
You can be a real asshole sometimes.
Oh, I'm an asshole. I'm the asshole here. Okay.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
How you doing?
You.
Good, hanging in there.
Wow,
I got my wine. Everything's good.
person stop seeing you guys. This is so cool.
I know. I'm so glad that you're on our show. We miss
too.
you.
Oh,
Yeah.
the feeling is mutual. I promise. The feeling is very mutual.
So everyone, this is Andre. He's an actor,
Hello,
and he's
everyone.
and he's here to tell us about the theater and his involvement in it.
Wow. Yeah, so I wore a special shirt today. I don't know if you can tell.
Domino.
I was like, you know what?
That
Let me
looks so
get
cool.
the player shirt out. Let me get the
Love it.
jersey.
Yes, representing Albright. Oh my God. So you guys, Andre and I went to college together. We met at Albright College in Reading, Pennsylvania, doing theater. We had such good fun.
Good old Reading. Oh yes, that was a great time. The only one missing from this little duo is Saline, kind of
Oh, I know. Oh my God.
experience together. Yeah, for sure.
We're just going to ask you a few questions if you don't mind.
Sure, I'm an open book. What's up?
Okay, cool. Okay.
How did you first get involved in theater?
Oh, that's a really good question. Beauty and the Beast. That's an interesting name.
It's because it's usually me and my boyfriend on it. So.
That is so cute. So I got in theater. It's a very funny story too. I was around 11 years old, and I just started playing basketball and whatnot, and because the city had like a city league of basketball, and it was things to do extracurricular. And I had this instructor who I would go to after school before basketball practice called, her name is Miss Hamid. I gotta check that lady up, man. Juanita Hamid. I still remember her name. And I think she was part of like the guidance counselor team at Norman Esquare, which is my middle school. But she also did the theater club. Go figure. But I had all this time in between when school let out and then when I had basketball practice. And, I was a character then like I am now. And she was like, you really should come to the theater department. I'm like, I'm not doing that. No, I'll play basketball. I'm hard. And she was like, no, trust me. I think you'd be great. We're doing this show. I think, you know what? As a matter of fact, just come to one of our shows we're doing next month. Now, the show was this like Jerry Springer parody, right? And there was no script. It was just kind of like this freestyle, like almost like a, what are those like those shows? I'm forgetting the name of it, but they don't have a script. It's like
like
Improv?
sketch comedy?
Improv. It was like an improv show, but they had rehearsed it, but they didn't have a script. So it kind of always ended differently, but they had a clear idea as to how they wanted the show to flow. And I had no idea what that meant or what that was. And I just went to one of their shows, and it was the funniest thing watching like fellow students, some teachers, and people around town that I knew up there making pretend that this was this person's baby daddy and this, that, and the third. I was like, oh, I need to go. I need to be a part of this group. This is fun. Sign me up. So I signed up expecting to be a part of this Jerry Springer Part 2. And she goes, okay, guys, so I'm feeling inspired. We're going to do a show centered around Motown greats. And I'm like, what does that mean? So we basically did a show that was a variety show of us performing as Stevie Wonder, The Temptations, Diana Ross, all this stuff. Mind you, I'm 11 years old. I could care less about Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross, and a bunch of old people. I wanted to do their singing show. So I'm sitting there like, oh man, I didn't want to do this. I got basketball practice. She goes, Andre, I have a special role for you. And I was like, what could it be? She's like, Stevie Wonder. I'm like, he's old. I don't really care. He's blind. He's boring. Like, it's not really there for me. And then she played this song. I forget the name of it now. Man, she'd kill me. But she did this song because he obviously was a star, but he was a star as a kid. I didn't know that. So I'm watching these like shows of him as a kid, like doing all these fun, like dancing around the stage, like, and he had people like bring him back on because he was blind, but he was still doing his thing. And I'm like, oh, I can definitely do this. She was like, yeah, I need you to exaggerate the hell out of it. I was like, all right, Miss Hamid, I like you. And I took that all the way. Like there was this one part where I was sitting in the chair and I get something to the music. I literally would fall backwards into the chair, fall completely out of the chair, dance off the stage, have someone drag me back onto the stage. It was so funny. It was the funniest thing.
Oh my God.
And that was my
That's
first show.
awesome.
Never looked back.
That's awesome.
I was a theater kid after that.
I wish there was like some sort of like, videotape of that.
Right?
There is a videotape of like, I think the second or third show I did where she did this silent show to music, and it was called, I still remember the name, Gina, Robert, and DMX. She wanted me to play the role of DMX. And basically he was this like gangster who clearly like he had the girl and all this. Oh no, I'm sorry. Robert had the girl. He was like this rich guy who, had the girl, but the girl was really looking for a bad boy, and then in comes DMX, and, and it was set to music that was more like popular in like the 70s and 80s, but these kids, it was like a way for us to kind of understand the importance or just understand the culture of music back then. And it was fun. Like that was videotape. That I think was fun.
That's
It's
cool.
like VHS.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Man, I went on a roll from there. From there, I went to Rosa Parks High School, which I was a piano major. Didn't start.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Oh yeah, I'm crazy with the keys. That was a little I had it all right.
Andre,
how did I not know this?
Our job was to act, Gina. So no, honestly, I'm a much better actor than I am piano player. So I was like,
oh my God.
By junior year, there was a competition, a statewide competition, where we would go like to Rutgers and like compete with other schools and do these like little like dramatic pairs and do these main stage shows or shorts and competitions. And when I went and did that senior year, I cleaned up. I placed first in dramatic pairs, comedy pairs, the main stage, best actor. My mother to this day has 6 trophies, they come up to my waist, of just like drama trophies. So after that, I guess you're going to school for theater. And
that's great. Oh my gosh. Wow. I had no idea about any of that. That's cool.
No one's ever asked me. This is the first time I ever had to explain it. Like, this is fun.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yay!
When I saw you were like, we're going to ask Andre about his beginnings in theater, I'm like, that's an interesting question. No one's ever cared to ask.
Well, we care, so there you go.
I love it.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so acting is not your full-time job, but that's like the goal?
It's funny. It's neither. It's not like acting. I never saw acting at any point as a end goal for me, right?
Okay.
It was always something that I loved to do, but never considered a hobby because I was really good at it. But it's never fully defined ever who I was. Not in high school. I was a piano player and drama minor. I'm sorry. I was a piano player, vocal minor, and I also did theater. Like I was always.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then I went to college, and like I was part of concert choir and all those other like groups and organizations. Where just started to get a little angry about the fact that I was part of so many. Our theater instructor hated that I was in every group outside of this one, so he had a problem with that. But
because like we wanted you to ourselves.
I mean, I get that a lot, but but yeah. So theater was always something that I loved and I enjoyed, and it came naturally to me, and I naturally just enjoyed doing it. But I saw it as more than a hobby, but not something that fully defined what I did, because I was also a music business major as well. So
Wow.
I obviously, as soon as I left college, I jumped right into that, career of music business, because it was the quickest way to, get a decent income in versus just going on audition, 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 audition. So now, to say that it's not something that I do part time. It's something that I would say that I am still very much aware of what opportunities are available to me, and then I'll take advantage of them periodically. Like, a theater show once every other year or so. But I'll do like a film or so, maybe once a year. I'll do like an actual film project a bit more consistently, while also working on, because I run an advertising firm. I also work with my brother, who's your landlord, which is also a real estate tech company. And, a plethora of other little projects and things that I have my hands in, always just bettering myself to learn more in a plethora of different avenues of life. But, so I guess you can call it part-time, but it's just something that just kind of flows with my life.
No, that's perfect. So you have like a regular full-time job, and then you do theater and acting and film and TV when you can, when it fits in, which,
Yeah.
it's perfect. That's the best of both worlds. You're paying the bills, so, and
Absolutely.
doing what you love.
I think that's what it is, to kind of be honest. It's like, I've never been a good starving artist, so I've always tried to figure a way to prevent starving at all costs, because, bills are always going to be bills. So I'll, listen, if the right role comes through and, it makes sense financially, then I'm all in.
Yeah.
But I think that's what it is. I'm
Absolutely.
always making sure that I'm putting food on the table, that I'm bringing in a decent salary. That comes first. And then everything else comes after.
Yeah, Albright was not a cheap college.
Still paying that off, by the way. But
Me too. Moving ahead.
Right. They still hit us up for money. I'm like, but wait, I'm still currently paying back what I already paid you.
Yes, exactly. I wish I could donate, but currently my money is going to pay my bills for you.
So, I was looking, and you have an amazing resume. You portrayed Rooftop in Our Lady of 121st Street.
That was my most fun show I've ever played. Oh man, yes. What
Henry in Race.
Oh yeah, that was my most recent show. I think that was the biggest show I think I've ever done. Right.
Okay.
So yeah, that was a pretty epic show.
Troy and Fences.
Most memorable.
I helped build the set for that. I helped build the set.
Most memorable show by far. Yeah.
Co-starred in Shakespeare's Love's Labour's Lost.
Yes. I love it.
And this list, it goes forever. It goes on and on. What would you say your favorite role that you've played so far on stage is?
Oh, that's easy. Fences. Did I say fences?
I think you said Fences. I'm not sure.
Maybe one or two times.
It's such a landmark show for me, and I'm so glad I get to tell you guys this. So Fences was a part of my life well before college. Big shock, right? It was the show that I won Dramatic Peers for at the New Jersey competition I was telling you about. We did the scene. I played Troy, and then this kid named Vance played my son, where he wanted to go and join the football team, and I'm telling him no. But we're like a couple high school kids, and that won first place. And not only did we win first place, I won the governor's award for that portrayal of Troy. Jeff and Julia had no idea of any of this information.
Wow.
So mind you, now Rich Hackman's gonna kill me for this.
Oh no!
Facts are facts. But here's the deal. So mind you, I had this clear understanding of this play, a whole backstory of it, well before, I obviously seen the audition. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to kill this. But this was Rich's year. He was a senior. He was ready. He wanted Troy hands down. And me, I was I was a sophomore at the time. I think they released the list by like the end of my freshman year. But yeah, sophomore year was when they were doing the actual show. It was like the last show of that season for spring. And I just went in there and did the audition the way I knew a Governor's Award winner would have done the audition. And I got the role.
Sorry, Rich.
He was not a good friend of mine I'm sorry, no, I wasn't his favorite person for like, I want to say leading up to the show and like 3/4 of the way through the actual show. Cause I know he went to Julia and was like, Julia, I'm a senior. How are you going to give the main role to a sophomore? Like, I've been here. I've done the time. Mind you, Rich is the only other African. We're like the only 2 Africans at Albright College. I'm like, bro, we got to be friends. We got to be friends here. So but he ended up playing like my brother in it, and I told him this very recently. I said, yo, I'll always remember. I always knew that you had an issue with me getting Troy, but I'll always remember that one day, I think it was around closing night or actually closing night, when I got off stage and he like grabbed me by the arm and was like, you did a really good job.
Aww.
You really killed it. And I was like, oh, good, we're friends. Awesome.
Oh my god. Well,
Yeah,
I saw you in that production because I knew you and I was in Wayne's class, helped build the set for it. So I was like, I'm definitely coming to see this show. You were like, I was blown away because you figure, oh, that's my friend up on stage. And I did not see Andre on stage. I saw a whole other man on stage and I was like in my seat, like, oh my God.
Yeah,
amazing.
It gets a little
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. You were phenomenal. And so is it safe to say that that was the show that you were nominated for an Irene Award for the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival?
It's very safe to say. And I was nominated 3 times.
What?
Wow.
Wait a minute. So you were nominated for Troy.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
I love no. I was nominated for Troy. I was nominated for, what was the other one that I did? 121st Street for Rooftop.
Rooftop.
And Custard for Lovely Response.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's crazy. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Jeff's upset with me about that too, because
Why?
I never went for the scholarship. They nominated me 3 times, and all 3 times I just kind of kept going on with my life. I understand why he was really frustrated with me. When I look back on it, I'm like, man, I just kind of was like, oh, great, cool. Like, it was an award, but it was like, no, it was an opportunity for me to then, because I looked into it, it was like, you have to then go to the next part of the competition for the scholarship. Mm-hmm. And I never did it. I know.
Oh, okay. So you were nominated and then you had to take another step to move forward.
Correct. So once you're nominated, it doesn't mean like you automatically get the scholarship, right? So once you're nominated, you're just nominated to go through the next phase of a competition to then actually win the scholarship, right?
Okay.
And the scholarship is specifically for continuing education in theater. And I knew at that time I had no real desire to go to like any master's program for theater. I was like, oh no, I don't think I'm gonna do that. But then that's that's what that was. But I was nominated a few times for that.
Well, that's cool. I mean,
so awesome.
The KCACTF experiences are always fun, no matter what. A little too fun sometimes.
Oh man, what a great time, man! Like that was my only time I went to KCACTF was with you, and we did.
Love Labor's Lost. That was the only time I went, and that was more than enough.
We're in the middle of the Fences run. I was approached to take a look at Othello. And I was like, oh man, listen, man, Fences is currently kicking my ass. I'm not really thinking about that right now. Like, Fences is like a small novel. It's a 3-hour play, right? And Troy is on and talks for every single scene up until the very last one. So when he's asking me that, I'm probably barely halfway memorized through this play. I'm like, dude, I need a break. Let me just kind of get through this novel, and then we could talk about another play. But who told me to do that? Because he was planning next season already. So then they ended up going with Love Labor's Lost as opposed to Othello. And there was so much like drama between like, because Andre decided that he wasn't to do Othello, we have to. And then Love Labor's Lost, here because no other school had done a Shakespearean play. Mind you, that's as well. So Fences didn't get to go, but Love Labor's Lost went because it was all in that same year.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I'm privy to Jeff basically coming to me and saying his words, oh man, this don't have something to say to me. He was like, you know this is your fault, right? I'm like,
oh
Jeff,
my
what?
God.
So
oh my God.
Yes. Because he's like, you're doing Othello here, and it could have been you. You could have had this strong role like how you had with Troy. I was like, oh, oops.
Wow.
Did you know this? You didn't know
No.
this? Oh,
Didn't know that. Did not know that. Oh my God. Well, I'm glad Love Labor's Lost went because I had fun.
Right? Me too. I'm like, listen, dude, I had a great time. So.
Yep. It was a good time.
I had a really good time. A few of our fellow domino players also had something to say in my ear too, which I'll probably tell you offline.
Oh, you know what? I definitely want to hear those stories.
I'll tell you offline. I don't know how spicy you want the podcast. I have no problem name dropping. I don't talk to these people anymore, but I don't know, so I'll tell you offline.
Who knows if they're tuning in or not? But you never know. Better to be safe than sorry.
I would love to drop a couple names, but I'll leave them alone for now. Unless you got it.
Andre sitting over there going like truth bomb.
I'm 31 years old now. Like, I'm in a phase of my life where all I do is tell you the truth, whether it leans in my favor or not. That's all I got for you. So usually I tend to kind of on just being less, I guess, confrontational, really, and like, oh, okay, hey, friend, listen, the truth,
I hear you.
That's what you're about, right? Telling your truth, right?
It's all good.
You got that right.
Yeah.
So everyone always has that one audition story. Can you tell us about your audition for Hamilton?
That's not my one audition story, though.
Then what is?
Okay,
what
so what would be your?
Y'all know, that is the only audition I've had in my life that I was actually nervous and hands clammy. I'm like, what is going on with my life right now?
Oh my God.
Yeah, man. Like, listen, I'll tell you, the audition for Hamilton was a complete out-of-body experience. Because it was just, this is what you work for. This is why you work so hard. This is what you do. This is why we do this. The experience was one that, I could explain to you step by step in more detail. I probably will for the rest of my life, right? Because I went to an open call. I didn't, I wasn't special by any means. I stood online like everyone else early in the morning at some Fifth Avenue, dance studio where everyone was kind of going in and getting through their lines. I was there all day from like 8 a.m. to, I think they ran auditions till 6. Here's a problem. Anyone that came throughout that time period that had some type of equity union, they got seen immediately. They didn't care if they were standing online. Didn't matter. They could literally log in on their phone and be like, oh, look, Hamilton's auditioning today. I'll drop by 3:00. No problem.
Sign up. I'm good. Now let me go on my way.
Go, easy peasy, in and out. Well, mind you, me and the other 500 non-union actors were literally sitting in this holding room on these metal chairs like this for hours and hours and hours. And I'm just like, bruh, people are trying to stay, agile and light. But what they would do was if there was a slot that was open, they would just fill in a non-union person in that slot and then keep it moving. Granted, I came really early, and I think I was number 32, and they had about at least 150 people. I'm like, I'm definitely gonna be seen. Nope, because what they did was they were taking these union actors, and they were like filling the slots, and they were doing like, I don't know, maybe say 10 every 15 minutes or whatever, but everyone was basically a union that was just coming in and taking all the slots. And then they would fill in one non-union, like once every hour or something like that. I'm like, oh, at this rate, they're never getting to 32. And so done. They broke for lunch. The afternoon came. They got down to like maybe say 27, 28, called it. I was like, yo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. I made some good friends, though, that I still talk to that from that day, because you're there all day.
That's good.
Silver lining.
Right, silver lining. But you know me, man. Listen, I persist. I'm a salesman. This is what I do outside of acting. So I'm like, all right, listen. Everyone's humans. So I get it. They're tired. They had a long day. However, let me talk to this guy who's like the monitor, who I've been here with all day. I'm like, listen, sir, I've been here all day. I have all these things prepared. There's got to be a better way than just me going home. He's like, listen, the only thing I could do is show you this. And he points down at the table. And it was the 3 names of the people that were in the room. I was like, oh, okay. I can LinkedIn you, Google you, IG you, I took all their names.
Smart, very smart.
And by taking their names, I found the agency that Hamilton hired to do the casting. By finding the agency, then I was able to put the names and the agency together and figure out their email address. Once I figured out the email address, I just went home, taped an audition with a compelling intro about how I'm the best person to play Hercules Mulligan. Find me a better Hercules Mulligan, and I'm African. And I did it with the rap and everything. And within, I want to say 6 hours of me sending that, I got an email that said that was a time, date, and everything for me to show up to their studio, and said, we need to see this kid. Floored.
Of course.
Wow.
And it was and the gate was like within a week's time. And then it was all these attachments of like everything because they wanted me to do more than just Hercules Mulligan. They wanted me to read for Burr and sing for Burr, and also do, there was Hamilton was in there too. And so was, I'm missing one. Not George Washington. Who's the fast rapper? I forget his name.
I can't think.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Diggs' role.
Yes.
I forget the name.
I forget his name, but
Thomas Jefferson.
Yes.
So I basically rehearsed all of them, and they gave me a week. And I feel sorry for my neighbors because I was singing at the top of my lungs for a week. And I live in this beautiful apartment complex with paper thin walls. And then so I went to New York that morning, and their studio is above the Hard Rock Cafe in Times Square. You go up these long gold escalators. It was a dream. Like, what is this world? Like, you go up these long gold escalators, like, and then you walk into this hallway, and then you're in this corridor with like all these theater shows and movies that they've casted on the walls. And then I just got to the front, and then I said my name and the play, and she was like, "Oh yeah, Andre, your third door on the light, whatever, little direction." I go down there, and it was like 10, maybe. I think if I say 10, I'm doing too much. It was like maybe say 8 or so non-union actors from that audition that they chose as callbacks. That was it. It was just us. And essentially what they were doing in that, they were just kind of hearing where we were, because they already heard us initially. They heard us already. They know we can perform. They know we're actors. They got all that. They just wanted to see kind of where they want to fit us into their current rotation of shows, because they were auditioning not just for Broadway, they're auditioning for the traveling shows as well. And, you go in there and everyone's really nice and you kill it. And I'll mind you, during it, I'd rehearsed it so much, I'm not even listening to myself. I'm watching them. I'm watching their reactions. I'm like listening for everything else. like it's out of body experience, because it's like it's almost muscle memory with how to actually do the role. And I see it, I'm getting all the responses that I know I want to get from it, and then they stop and then they look and they're like, wow, okay, Andre, well, here's what happens next, because this is it for today. We basically will call you when we have a spot on a tour or on Broadway, but we see that you are definitely someone that we want on our database.
Amazing.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
I mean, I guess. I mean, in the moment, I'm like, oh. Fast forward 2 months later, I'm like, damn. That didn't mean I got a role. That just means you're good. Thank you. You know?
Yeah.
You know?
That was their way of saying thanks for your time.
No, not that so much. It was clearly not that, because they wouldn't have just brought me in.
Right. They wouldn't have, yeah.
It was clearly that you're non-union. So you're in a line. So there are a plethora of union actors that look like me, can act like me, and be like me, that want to be on Broadway. So at no point are they ever really able to pick a non-union over a union unless I'm that much better than the union actor. So I'll probably concur that maybe I'm just as good, or maybe not as good, but I'll never say I'm not as good. So no, I'll take that back.
I think you're just as good, if not better, than a lot of union people.
So, I think I'm just as good. But if you're just as good, they're going to go with the guy with the union credit. And so once I kind of realized that situation I was in with, I know that I'm good enough to be in Hamilton and on Broadway, which was surreal and cool and amazing. That they really appreciated my art and my talent. I just know I need to get that card. So then I basically channeled my efforts. Now here's where Gina's like, I kind of do it part-time, but really it's not so much part-time as it is just, it's strategic, right?
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to do the Hamilton thing. I wasn't really auditioning for anything else. I specifically wanted to do that. So then I realized in order for me to get the roles I'm looking for, whether it be on Broadway or in Hamilton or whatever, because I didn't have that equity card, I'm like, all right, so I need to figure out my way to get into a production where I can get that credit. So next time they see me, I don't want to hear no BS. Here's my card. What's my tour? When do we leave? When does the bus leave? What are we doing? So essentially, I didn't apply for anything else. I just was looking at opportunities where I can get equity credit. Lo and behold, I actually got casted maybe a month after that audition into a film that is actually giving SAG credit, where not just the credit actually, but the actual union status. They were granted union status, so everyone in the production automatically is eligible to become SAG. So once we complete the production, which was supposed to be this month, but obviously because of COVID, we got pushed through to August. But once we complete production, I'll be eligible to join SAG. Pay that beautiful due fee.
Yeah.
Grab my equity card while I'm down at that same office and walk my way up the block to back to those golden escalators.
Yes, Andre, you have to. You have to do it.
Thing. Yeah, so it's really strategic as to kind of what I do when it comes to acting, because I don't have the availability to kind of just be out here all the time, just going audition. It's really like, all right, what do I really want to focus on this year? I want to focus on next year. And that's kind of pretty much how I move with.
No, that's an amazing way. That's an amazing way to go about it. Yeah. I mean, everyone's path is different, but I love the way that you're doing this.
Oh, thank you.
So if Hamilton is being in Hamilton, is that a dream show for you? Like Hercules Mulligan, is that a dream role for you? Or do you have another dream role that you haven't done yet?
That's a good question. So obviously, yeah. I will say that my desire for Hamilton has really nothing to do with my overall dream of a actual role, right? So Hamilton was something back in 2016 when I was experienced it. It was this opportunity where, to be honest, I saw something on Broadway that was popular, that where characters look like me. That wasn't common. Usually it's a bunch of like jazz fingers and Sharon looking guys, just, you know, and Prince Charmings, or everything is pretty, you know, bubbly, musically typecast, you know, and it's like, unless there's the few occasions where those A Soldier's Play or those Denzel Washington type plays come to Broadway, which usually the role that would look like me, Denzel Washington's already playing. There's really nothing to do on Broadway. So unless I decide to actually go the route of full-on musical theater, song and dance, and that's just not the type of actor I am. Like, I can move a little bit, I could do a little here and there, but I'm not the guy who you're gonna see doing splits and twirls and, you know.
But why not, Andre?
Right, I'd pay to see that.
West Side Story. I know never say never, but you will never see me in West Side Story singing no Maria. Nah, you
never know.
Never say never.
Listen, I know you should never say never. I know Justin Bieber said never say never, but I'm gonna say this: never. Never.
I don't know. Something I have it in my head. I could see you playing Phantom of the Opera, like the Phantom. Really? I could see you doing it.
You really see me as the Phantom?
I could totally see it. That.
Oh boy! Oh,
that
man.
Would be epic. That would be so amazing.
I'd go see Phantom again if you were in it.
Would you? Yeah. I mean, you know what?
I would.
Not that you mention it, maybe, but because he doesn't do that much dancing per se. And, you know, I love characters that are like how can I say this? The tortured soul. Like, he's the main character, you're rooting for him, but he's really, you know, making some choice decisions.
Yeah.
For instance.
He's holding women hostage and shit, you know.
I mean, yeah. He's haunting a whole theater. That's a little selfish, don't you think?
Wait, that's not normal?
You know, like, oh man. But an actual dream role that I've always actually tried to play was Othello. And it has literally haunted me from the time I declined it at Albright College in 2008.
Wow.
And I've had a couple, I want to say two opportunities to audition for Othello. One was when I was in Florida, but I was actually leaving that year. And it did an Othello play. And I even went back to watch it, and I was like, man, I could do so much better than this. But, you know, that was just the actor in me, the competitive nature in me. I'm really not that conceited. Trust me, guys. Just competitive in our craft.
Yeah, when you were living in Florida, did you act in Florida?
Oh, yeah. I did the play Voodoo Macbeth. That was in Florida, where it was literally Macbeth, but it was an all-black cast, right? Because when Voodoo Macbeth was actually first staged, it was entitled Voodoo Macbeth. I think it was 1918 or something like that, because Black people were not allowed on the same stage as white people. And white people were doing Macbeth back then, but then they had to rename the Shakespeare play Voodoo Macbeth because it was an all-black cast. So it just so happens that there was a nonprofit that funded this play at Studio 620. Shout out to them in St. Petersburg, Florida, because it was basically a history project. Because who knew that, you know?
Right.
A whole play of a spinoff of Shakespeare's play because, you know, they weren't allowed on the same stage as white people back then. And white people actually started doing the show in blackface because that was the whole thing back then.
That was
yeah, about that. So that was the play I did, and I played two roles. I played the role of the Potter, which was basically comedic relief, much like Custard in Love Labor's Lost. Like,
okay.
She always writes one of those in there, and I don't know why, but everyone chooses me for it. I'm able to kind of connect with the audience using the Shakespearean tongue very well, and I think people gravitate to that. You feel like you fully get it because I'm very animated.
Yeah.
And I also played a soldier, which I opened the play basically telling everybody, look, man, the battle was crazy, but that dude Macbeth, he was dope. And that's basically it. And I'm all bandaged up and scarred. And it was
That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
It was a fun time. And I was supposed to have played, you guys get a kick of this. If I stayed in Florida one other year, I was actually in a conversation with that same studio to play a all-black version of Sweeney Todd. And yours truly would have been Sweeney Todd.
I would have flown or driven to Florida to see that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
What I found interesting was Dave Darrow ended up playing a role in Sweeney Todd, the little boy. Remember Dave Darrow, right?
Yeah.
In Florida, but down I think a couple counties south of where I had actually played it, because they were literally like, yeah, we want Audrey to do it. We want to do it like an all-black cast, because that was the year that I think a few counties in Florida were doing Sweeney Todd. And
wow.
My career and life moved me back up to New Jersey, or New York at the time. Well, Philly first. Philly, New York, then now I live in Jersey.
And we're very happy. We're selfish, but we're very happy.
I too. I love it here.
So, when you're getting ready for a show, like you're in a show, you're about to go on for opening night, do you have any pre-show rituals that you do?
Besides complaining with me before the show that we did in New York.
We have to talk about that show, right?
We totally have to talk about that.
We're definitely in that show. But so usually, what I would do, and I can think back on the last big show that I did. Well, the biggest show that I've done in my life was the race show out of Philadelphia. That was an epic experience, because it was, first off, my first time on the stage in almost, I think, 8 years at the time, because I hadn't done I'm sorry, I'll take that back. I did a play in Florida, but it was like my first time back on stage up north since Albright College. And it was my biggest role I've had since Fences. And man, let me tell you, I'm playing a lawyer, and it was a lot of people from my life from all over were coming to see this play. Like, people from Florida, people from Jersey, because it was an easy hit to just catch. And it was actually pretty publicized and promoted. They were doing articles, and you can still find these articles. If you Google like Andre Ezeugwu race, I'm sure they're still around, of like reviewers that actually came and saw the play. I was actually nominated as I think it was top 10 or 20. It was like a top actors to watch in Philadelphia, because Broadway World, Broadway World. They were asking people to vote on who they thought the best actor was in basically every show that came through Philly that year. And we're talking about shows that were at the Walnut Street Theater and like huge houses and tours and everything, comedy shows. I'm like, wait, this all the same group? And my name was right there on that list. I'm like, damn.
Amazing.
That's incredible.
It was pretty cool. It was
deserved, though. I'm sure well-deserved.
But yeah, to your question, it was like a ritual. So yeah, because it was such a big deal for me, a ritual that I would do is just like say a small prayer before I go on. Basically about, listen, God, you put all these hundreds of words in my head and how I'm supposed to move. And it's a different show every night, but, a different audience. So we always got to give them 100%. So, this is your show moving forward. And he did what he did. And it was a pretty good, every show we hit the marks. So
amazing.
I love that.
Well, before I go on to my next question, speaking of pre-rituals, so Andre and I did a show together in New York, and I knew he was back in the area, and I said, look, we are looking, we need somebody to play this role in this play. Would you be interested? Are you available? I was so excited for it. It was supposed to be like this very like poignant piece, and I reached out, and he said, oh my God, yeah, I'd love to get back into the theater, into like the New Jersey, New York area. He came aboard. We were all so thrilled. And then
Gina, you're missing a huge part of the story. You invited me just to meet this man. Just to come hang out with you guys.
I totally forgot.
Just come hang out. I was like, oh, great. I'd love to meet you guys. Yeah, sure. I haven't seen Gina in forever. Oh, my God, I miss you. Sure, come. I'll stop up. I'll pop in. And this guy's like, you want to play a 10-year-old kid? I'm like, what?
My child. You want to play my child?
Oh, my God.
I was like, wait, what? Oh, no, I'm sorry. He was like, 17. He was 17 years
17.
17. Right?
He's like, here's the script. You're playing her kid. Read it.
You know my name? Like, you know, like, Gina vouched for you, so this works.
And then it started out as like, oh my God, this piece is gonna be amazing. It's gonna touch so many people. There were so many, like we went to like this event and we read like a scene or two from it, and people were talking about very important things in real life, and the show was
the subject matter is very serious. However,
circumstances behind the scenes were not good, and
chaotic 7-letter word.
It was rough. We made the best of it. Thank God I had you there, because I don't know how I would have gotten through it. It was an adventure, to say the least.
Yeah.
And how many times did I apologize to you? Like, I'm
Too
so
much.
sorry.
Too much. I'm like, listen, yo, we all in this together. It's fine. We're having fun. I love theater. Like, listen, Gina, you know, because we've been through enough shows together that sometimes they're great, sometimes not so much. But at the end of the day, we have an audience, we have a show, and the show must go on. So we do what we got to do.
That's right.
And we make memories. At the end of the day, we make memories, right? Because we get to do what we love to do. And even though we had actors storm out of rehearsal, we had
the night before we opened.
I heard these stories.
We had actors that, you know, while someone was doing a pre-show ritual like praying, would be like, "Oh, hurry up!" Bruh.
Yeah, it was rough. It was very rough.
You gonna keep going?
I was like, oh my god. It was a very
fun, and it's like because you're dealing with the cast of characters, and everyone's an actor, and everyone needs a stage, and you realize, you know, some people need a bigger stage than others, and
exactly,
you know, it was a fun experience, to say the least.
It was definitely one for the books. It was. I will never forget that show, but yet I want to forget it.
Jesus, Clover, I love it. I love it. I love theater so much. I have no bad memories of it though. Like, it was just, we were able to make clear memories of that experience. The only time I have not even bad, but I have a kind of like memory of theater was when I had to be props manager.
For what?
Fish Out of Water.
Fish Out of Water. Oh my God, I got roped into doing that show. Okay, so tell us about that.
Oh, no, I'm not doing that one. Jeff and Coco, man, because I had to get college credit because I was just acting. I was in every play acting, and it was like, you realize, you know, you have to do like 2 other roles. I was like, what does that mean? It was like, you have to do something backstage or whatever. I was like, oh, okay. So part of the theater credit you have to do.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I did props manager, and then I did stage manager, was it? Yeah, for the Miser, I was part of the stage crew. And then for
that's when the swine flu hit, the Miser.
Yeah, the swine flu hit the main character.
And Billy had to go on with the book. He did good though.
Oh no, he did great. He did great. But poor Lacey, man, I swear that girl, she went up. I think she did 2 shows, and then
that was it.
So sick that Billy literally took over the role for the rest of the run, and I was like, man, I'm glad I'm stagehand. Like, I'm missing the back here, but that was
I swear that show was cursed because that was like the only show that I dropped out of doing. I was supposed to do something backstage and I was so overwhelmed with like work and school stuff that I ended up dropping out of doing whatever I was doing. I don't remember even what. It was something backstage and I just dropped out, and then she got swine flu and then something else happened. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah,
cursed.
She got something real bad. I don't know if it was swine flu, but it was something like a flu. That was
Why am I laughing?
because this was 10 plus years ago. Actually, almost. But I think we're sitting at maybe 12 years ago now. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I think
boy.
it. But I think the biggest challenge I've had in theater was when I had to do props for Fish Out of Water, because Jeff and Coco had like 800 props for their play that they created, and I had to go find them, get them, figure it out. Now, mind you, I'm not realizing this is my responsibility to just go find this list that they gave me. I mean, like, go to the woods and dig them up, create them, make them rearrange. Like, this is not what I thought I was signing up for. I was just signing up to get a credit, like an experience event. Check, I did it. Not like I have to go and, carpet.
Well, the entire
no.
The entire summer before the show, they made a Twitter account for that show, and they like every day posted something to the Twitter. They were like burning styrofoam, and like they were so into it. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a show.
Oh, it was a show, all right. A show that very terribly at props hand. That they had to bring in. Oh my gosh, I forgot her name. She's in New York. What's her name?
Wait, they brought in who?
She has big blue eyes, beautiful blue eyes. She has a boyfriend.
Mary Jane?
No.
Karina?
Is it? She's very sweet and quiet and a really big smile. She's in New York with all of us. She's one of the group in New York. I forget her name. I was hoping you'd remember her.
And she did what for the show?
She took over as props. Like, we did it together, but I did nothing after she came on. I just watched. I just was like, oh, okay, great.
Blonde hair?
No.
Brunette. I tried to block out a lot of that.
And she was really sweet. She was really nice. They brought her on, and she was like, so I'm going to do this. And I'm like, oh, great. Awesome. Can I help you? I don't really know what you'd help with. I'm like, you're right. I don't know either. So I'm just going to go sit in the theater and just kind of watch, right? Okay, I'll do that. And the thing is, you can go on YouTube now and find all these videos of their promo for
the music video for my character, Yolanda.
Yolanda.
Which I didn't even they came to me and they were like, you want to be choreographer? I'm like, sure. I wasn't going to audition for the show. They're like, meet us at this office at like this time. I'm like, okay. I show up. They're like, sing. I'm like, no, what? Wait, what? Here, read this. No. Wait, what's happening? And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you're going to be a choreographer. Cool. And then all of a sudden it's like, here's the script. You're Yolanda. You have a whole storyline. You're going to dance. I'm like, what? I thought I was choreographing.
If I ever heard one. Oh, man. I love it.
I got roped in. It ended up being super fun, but like, it was a lot.
It was.
Yeah.
I figured out the whole props thing, which meaning I don't have to do it anymore. It was a great show. It was phenomenal. After I didn't have to do the job anymore, because I got the credit. But I actually dropped out of one show at Albright. You'll probably remember this. We did 3 Penny Opera.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Another one.
To drop out of that show. And the same critic that had a big problem with me about the Othello is the same critic that had something to say about how 3 Penny panned out. And I think you know that critic, because we've talked about that person. But I don't listening, and I don't need no smoke. So anyway, I dropped out because I wanted to be the warden, which is basically the the pledge master, the person that leads pledges into a fraternity. That year, I had basically won the fraternity election to be the pledge master, and it's done in the spring for the first 8 weeks of the semester. And Three Penny Opera was the first play once we came back from interim or whatever. Wasn't gonna happen. So I got the role. I sung. I did the audition. And I think Jeff, and I understand Jeff's frustration because I went audition just to do it, just to audition, not to really put that much effort into it, which is to my detriment. But Jeff was like, dude, I really want you to be in it. You'd be great. I'm like, you know what? That's my bad, Jeff. So I go home, I study, I rehearse, I go in for the audition, I get a role. Back over Christmas break into interim, I had to tell him, look, sorry, like I got something else I wanted to do.
Ooh.
And, yeah, man. Listen, if Jeff never spoke to me again, I realized he'd be well within his rights not to. But nah, like we actually communicate a lot fairly recently. But you know, it took years.
Oh, I bet.
Years. Yeah, I had to drop out because, like, you know, I realized I've never really allowed acting to be my full focus, even in college or whatever. But it is something that I love very much, guys. Like, I really do. And I put in the work when it's in front of me, and I had no app to do it. I put in the work, but I always shut off at a certain point. I'm like, all right, I'm done working on this. Whew, what else you got to do? Because it takes so much of your brain power to focus on a show. Like, you guys can both concur to this. It's like when you're memorizing lines or you're directing, whatever your task is in theater, right? It requires a full body experience. It's a full-on contact sport where you are rehearsing and thinking about it every day. You dream about it in your sleep. You're memorizing lines. You're taking notes, and it requires so much of your creative juices where you're using both parts of your brain. And then on top of that, usually these things are taking up 2-3 months at a time of your life. And then you finally can breathe and you're like, yeah, I need a break before I jump back into another play.
Yeah, I totally get that. Totally understand.
I know, you guys are best friends. You understand when Gina's doing a play or whatever. It's like, where did this friend go? You know?
Everyone's like, she disappeared for 2 years.
Right. She's doing back-to-back plays. It's I love it. I hone the craft, but sometimes I need a break. What's up?
Do you like to audition? Do you like the process of auditioning?
I actually do. I'm one of the few actors that do.
That is so rare. Okay, tell me why. Well,
I love it for the same reason how I got the Hamilton audition, right? Everyone else that was with me in that room didn't. You know, we all failed together, but I'm the one that still ended up with an audition. Because I always find a way to be the person they remember. It comes very naturally to me to do that, right? Like kind of like how we are here, like I think quick on my feet. I'm able to kind of just understand and read a room very fast. And everyone's a human being, right? When you put someone on a pedestal and you see them as such, it kind of, you know, it creates a different dynamic than if you approach something with confidence and talk to everyone as if they're a person, right? Like my many years in entertainment and radio and stuff, and I do all these concerts and shows, and even when I was in LA, I work with superstars all the time, from football players like T.O. to basketball players like Allen Iverson, or whether it be artists like just about every popular artist from like 2006 to 2017. I've worked on something with them, from Cardi B, Jessica Reyes to the Migos, all these little hip hop and a bunch of country artists that I learned their names of because I started doing country too in 2010. I'm like, oh, cool. And I had an appreciation for country music now, like, and then fell in love with Darius Rucker and pictures with, and stories with, what's his name? Bruno Mars. Yeah.
Oh,
this
wow.
guy was like crazy backstage, and he asked me to get his weed for him. That was a whole other thing.
He asked you to what? What? Yeah. He asked you to what?
So his manager was like working with the PD, and at the time I was a runner for the radio station and also sales exec. And Bruno Mars was like, hey, what's your name? Andre, right? Do you mind telling my manager to give me my thing? I was like, oh, yeah, I got you.
Oh my God.
This happened in Manayunk, Pennsylvania, in Manayunk, right outside of Philadelphia, at a brew pub. He was doing like a little show, and I'll never forget it. It was this little like, impromptu for listeners only into to win. And I went and got him. And he's like, "You want to hit?" I was like, "Oh no, I'm good. Thank you. I'm on the clock. I'm on the clock."
My God, you could have smoked with Bruno Mars.
And he came out high as a kite, eyes red as hell, and then he goes up on stage. "Hey everyone, I want to be a billionaire." So like, what is that world I work in? This is
that's the best thing ever.
That's a phenomenal story, and also you do a really good impression of him.
Yes.
But it's that experience. It's those experiences that allow me to be in a space like something as big as Hamilton. And I'm not sitting in there like everyone else, like, "Oh my God, we're going to audition for Hamilton." I'm like, yeah, so what? You know what I'm saying? Like, you audition for Hamilton and they like you, then they're there to see you. Then you're the star. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Casting directors.
Right.
So, I always approach everything like everyone's a human being. So I always, whenever you walk into an audition, right? I try your best to not be nervous. That's what I think kills a lot of people when it comes to those things. You walk in there, and even if you're good, you may be stiff, you're not loose. Just have fun with it. If they see you're having fun, they're gonna want that energy around them. You're gonna be memorable because people walk in, they do whatever they do, they look at the back of the room, they don't give them any real eye contact, and they kind of just walk out. Like, no, don't be weird and stare at them the entire time. That's a little daunting. But like, if you walk in and you're a personality that they love, and they're like, "Yo, this guy, he's gonna put butts in seats. They're gonna love him." You get hired. It's that simple.
That is the best advice, because I will say that's how I got the role in Love's Labor's Lost. I didn't really plan on going. I'm like, maybe, we'll see. And then I walked into the room. Julia had us she had someone playing guitar, and she's like, dance around and do whatever. And I was like, whatever, here we go. And then left, did my thing and left. And then the next day, people are blowing up my phone like, "Oh my God, come look at the list." And I'm like, I don't care. And then it was like some like sophomore got a lead in the show, and I'm like, oh.
With these elitist players get mad at sophomores.
I know. I was like, because it was like the juniors and seniors.
The person that's the same year as Rich Hackman, but I'm not gonna call her name out because I had no beef with her. But I know who you talking about.
Oh yeah, because I was getting some of that. I'm like, who is she? Who are you?
That's neither here nor there. Let me stop being petty. Let me stop being
salty, yes, and I love it.
Yes, this is the best.
Oh God. But that seriously, that is the best advice. You go in, not to say like you don't care, but it's just like you have fun and like, let's see what happens. And those are the best auditions.
Be a human being. Just be yourself. Like, I know that's hard and it just sounds really cliche, but I can't stress that enough. That's why, and I'm really good at it. That's why I enjoy auditioning. Like, it's funny. Like when I was in LA in 2009, right? That's when I met T.O. And mind you, by the time I met T.O., I was already there for an internship for music business, but I really wanted to get that acting thing going. So I actually, just because through connections of who I was interning under, got an audition to work on the T.O. show, which was a reality show that was really big at the time on VH1. So I got to work on it on their promo pilot, and I got it based off of going to a regular audition, and you line up, and you're in a room of a bunch of big black guys who look just like you. They're a bunch of big football player looking guys, and I'm like, oh great, whatever. And then I'm talking about one role, and it's Hollywood, heart of Hollywood at Sunset Gower Studios. And I really am just like, whatever. If I get it, I get it. I'm happy to be here. It was like, this is a great experience. I'm on Hollywood on some soundstage, some back lot. this is great. So I walk in there with that same energy of, hey, look at y'all casting directors. And what do you do? Key grip, whatever. What? Who cares? Okay, great. What do you need me to do? And I just had that energy. And they're like, all right, say this line or do this. And then I did that or whatever. And they're like, okay, can you catch a football? I'm like, throw it. Let's see what we can do. I don't know. And they're like, all right, throw the ball. And that was it. So then I go home and pop up. I got a phone call. They're like, hey, we want you to be T.O.'s stunt double. I'm like, oh, wow, okay, great. Then I show up and then I see a guy who is at least twice my size and like this big. And he's like, nice to meet you. Like, just like almost like, let's say a few days later. And I'm like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. Like, what are you here for? I thought I was hired to be T.O.'s double. And he's like, no, man, I'm the double. I'm like, okay, I guess that would make more sense. Like, because T.O., point of reference, guys, I'm 6'1". T.O. is like 6'8". Like, he's a tall dude. So, I'm like, I didn't know Hollywood, should be fake. So I figured I was the double. But no, they actually got someone to be the double who looks like T.O. So I'm like, what the hell am I here for? But at the same time, I was like, well, I know I'm supposed to be here. They had my name at the front gate when I pulled in looking like I was a movie star. And I'm back on this lot, and I have my little pin, and my contract says I'm going to get paid $450 for 2 hours of work. So let's begin. I guess I'm just... And then finally say, Andre, I'm like, yeah, come here. All right, so listen, here's what we need you to do. We're going to put you in a football outfit, and we need you to run to T.O. like you're going to tackle him. I'm like, oh, okay, you want me to be like defensive line? He's like, yep, we need you to be a defensive line to like basically go after him. But it's going to be the stunt double because we don't want you to hurt T.O. I was like, oh, okay, let's do that. Mind you, while I'm doing this, T.O. is right there. And then he goes, hey, good job, homie. I'm like, oh, that's T.O. So I'm dapping him up. We're chilling. We're hanging out. We're eating at the little craft services together. It was great.
That's awesome.
That was the first I ever did in Hollywood.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I keep trying to look for that commercial, and I see it once in the blue, and I saw it on beat. I'm like, oh, that's me. But,
You need to, like, find that on YouTube and, like, send it.
I will, but you can't see
Yes, we need to see that.
Helmet. It's me wearing that helmet, so you can't see my face, like, running after anybody. But when I'm running after, you'll see a football player running after someone, right? That's me. And in the chair, in the commercial, you see it's T.O. But in reality, it was this stunt double guy sitting there who literally, I, like, run up on the chair, and, like, he's, like, a weight that I can't push. So, like, I'm running up on it, and then basically after my part's completely done, they put T.O. in the chair and then continue shooting the commercial. So it's like after he's tackled by the football player, he then moves and does something else that is less physical. It's great time.
That's cool.
So that's kind of where it started, of just being like, you realize everyone's human beings, man. Like,
yeah.
So be a human.
Do you have a favorite play? Like all-time favorite play, if you could name like one?
I have to. Just because of what this play did for my understanding of plays, right? I have to give it to Fences, but Hamilton is a close second. And I'll say this because my theater career really hinged on, August Wilson's works and how I will say works, but it's really just Fences. How he wrote Fences and how I was able to really portray that character in high school kind of like helped me realize I could really do this acting thing. So I have to kind of really give it to that play. But Hamilton just reignited a light under me in terms of, like, you can really do this theater thing. So it's like, it's between Fences and Hamilton. And we've probably talked about it enough. And you clearly understand why. They both define my theater understanding of life and experience.
So Fences is like your favorite play. Yeah, Hamilton's your favorite musical.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could. Yeah, that works for both.
Yep.
Play and musical.
I got to put them in those categories, even though there are a plethora of other plays that I loved and whatnot. But if I had to pick a favorite, I think I would say those. But yeah, but if I had to think of a role that was the most fun to play, it would definitely be Rooftop. And another role that I just really enjoyed playing, I think I enjoyed the most, would have been like race, because that one was just, I was a lawyer, and I think I'm gonna get my law degree soon, so I may do that too.
Oh, that's exciting!
Oh yeah, get some law school in there, and because entertainment law is kind of like the last like notch in my belt. Like I've done all these different things in entertainment, from acting, singing, and management of like artists, and running an advertising firm, and working in radio and advertising and all that. And in every industry or every facet of entertainment that I've worked in, there's been a lawyer involved who handles copyright, contracts, make sure that this is done right or that's done right, or to make sure that this deal goes well with that deal. And honestly, that's the one sector of our business and entertainment on a whole that I really can say that I've not done, is understand the legal aspect of everything, right? The business aspect I get, the performance aspect I get, but there's a whole legal department of everything that I can say I've never really explored. And I think I would, that's the next adventure for me.
Wow.
Okay. So you'd say that's what's like, after quarantine's over, that would be one of your adventures. Do you have an acting adventure that you'd like to pursue after quarantine is over?
Most definitely. So once quarantine is over, I'm gonna do that that film where I'll get the SAG card. Once I do that, I'm basically gonna be an open book and see kind of what roles come my way, plays wise, and also SAG wise as well. So I just kind of, I've elevated my game now. I'd be part of the union for next year, basically. So 2021, I'd be officially part of a union, or two unions actually. So at that point, we'll see kind of what roles come my way at that point, and I'm kind of like proving the market. But I can't wait to get this kind of quarantine done so that we can do that play, so that I can, not that play, I'm sorry, that film, so that I can actually finally be part of a union instead of have to constantly click non-union. This is so exhausting. Right. Are you part of a union? Nope.
Yeah, well, I hope this quarantine is over soon and you can do that and move on to bigger and better things. And
I second that.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you so very much for being on our show. We loved having you on, and we enjoyed every second of it, and we hope you'll come back too.
Oh, of course. This was fun. I could talk about theater for hours,
Oh, I can't wait for next time.
Oh, yes. I love hearing you guys and your stories as well. Obviously, offline, we can talk for hours about this stuff too. So.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Easily.
Absolutely.
Easily. Well, thank you, Andre, so much. And I guess if people want to contact you, they can get on your Instagram, or
sure, yeah. Dre Easy, or Dreezy, DREEZE _INC. That's simple. Yeah.
Perfect.
Or type in Andre Ezeugwu. I'm pretty easy to find.
Amazing.
I also want to say, everyone that I've mentioned in this podcast that I'm sure listen to this podcast, I love y'all. We had great times. Theater's amazing.
Yes.
I love you to death, sir.
I love the disclaimer. It's amazing. I mean, but we're so truthful here. We're so honest here. So yeah, I mean, it's a part of your journey. Like, what are you gonna do?
You gotta be. If anyone were to go up to Rich right now and say, has Andre always been your favorite person? He'll be the first person to say, absolutely not. So I can clearly say, mind you, now this guy he's created the logo for my advertising firm. He's created the website for my advertising firm. We just did a photo shoot last year. We're the best of friends.
That's great. That's amazing. See what happens? You never know.
Right.
Well, thank you again so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for an awesome show. We hope you enjoyed our chat about I'll Eat You Last, a chat with Sue Mangers, followed by an awesome, hilarious interview with Andre Ezeugwu.
The best ever.
Absolutely. Like, I enjoyed that interview so much. And we can't wait to see you next week. I'm Tracy.
And I'm Gina.
And this is A View from the Mess, a chat with Broadway babes. See you next week. Mwah.
Oh,